Hi, I'm Dwayne Morton. As someone who has navigated some of life's most difficult, unlikely, and untimely circumstances, I understand what it feels like to battle those challenges alone. That's why I created Show Up to Heal. This podcast is for the people who feel unheard, unseen, and unloved. This is where you can come and hear true stories and where man can have real conversations. But most importantly, this is a place where we're creating a community so you can feel supported. I want you to feel in this community that you are seen, heard, and loved. And if no one else has told you today, I love you. Welcome to Show Up to Heal. Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Show Up to Win presents Show Up to Heal. My next guest for episode 17 is Jeff Pearson. And I met Jeff a few months ago at a speed networking event of one of my really great friends. And just, he's an amazing human being. I can't wait to bring him on. And he has an amazing mental health journey. And so let me bring him on. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Dwayne. Nice. Thanks for having me, man. This is gonna be awesome.
Absolutely, man. And so
Yeah.
I just got to read your bio. I love reading bios and just letting people receive the words that are being read about them and then having a couple questions afterwards. Jeff Pearson is a speaker, author, business owner, and TV host. When Jeff was 2 weeks old, it was confirmed that he had hydrocephalus and underwent his first brain and abdominal surgery. Over the years, he's had many similar surgeries, including 7 brain surgeries, each with its own set of challenges and victories. Despite these challenges, Jeff traveled the world with people, got married, raised 3 children, worked as a private investigator, and now is the executive director of Hydro with Hope. Welcome, Jeff. So how does that land, my man, whenever you have somebody read these bios and what you've accomplished?
You know what? Over the years, man, I have come to understand that the bio, it's kind of like social media, right? You go on somebody's Facebook page, LinkedIn profile, whatever, like it never paints the whole story. So it's almost like a teaser to lead up to what we're actually going to talk about. So I've been on TV shows and podcasts for years, and you did a great job. Some of you, that is not all created equal, not all hosts do it the same way. And so, sometimes you got to explain a little more, sometimes you don't, but really I look at the intro as a starting off point, man. We can always dive into more. So it was great. Yeah, it's perfect.
Absolutely. And so I just want to say thank you for being a part of this 30 speakers. And, I was very mindful of picking the right type of people, but also the right type of stories to give a broader perspective of men's mental health. And for you, having a different type of challenge. So I'm curious about this first question because I've given this to every speaker so far is in the men's mental health awareness, where do you feel like we're doing correctly? What do you feel like we're missing the boat? What do you feel like that we need to change?
For men's mental health specifically, I think one big misconception with men in general, especially, and with mental health, is that we don't need help, that we got it all figured out and that we can do it. We got this, right? You just buckle down and work harder and put your head down and just do it and shut up and don't complain. And God forbid you cry, or show any weakness or that you're in pain, because that would mean that you need help from the outside and you should be able to handle it. And that's crap. That's absolute crap. The sign of a true man is being able to ask for that help and be able to admit that you are in a spot that you have never been before and you have no idea what to do, which I have found myself in multiple times over the last few years. And so I had to learn that too. I mean, I'm fortunate to have the story I do because I had to learn what you're talking about very early. And so I think, but not every man gets that. So I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. So one of the people that I've had on earlier was Connor Heibel, and he actually had some physical challenges in his early childhood. So that's one of the things I want to ask is from an early child you've had to learn this resilience, you had to learn this mental health for for men, but also you're a boy, so you had to learn that um, through the fire. What would you say to someone who is is over 18 now, so it's classified as a man, sorry,
An adult,
classified as a
yeah.
man, but then also had went through some of the challenges that you did as a boy? Like, what would you tell them about their mental health?
Well, I'll tell you what, when I was a boy, I was very fortunate that my parents approached what I had been through and what I would inevitably need to go through in the future very well. And so when I was a kid, I don't remember the exact conversation, but I remember this mentality being instilled in me very young that you are not sick. You have, yeah, you might have a condition that requires, brain surgery every once in a while or abdominal surgery or whatever. Like I've been under the knife plenty. I'm 7 brain surgeries in, right? But as a kid, they're like, look, you're a kid. Go be a kid. You're not sick. I'm not going to treat you as sick. You know, let's be smart. Part of what my condition is that I've got a device back here under the skin that helps me, on a daily basis. So like, don't play football, right? Like, be smart. Don't bang your head around with stuff. But you're a healthy kid. Go be a kid. And so that mentality has helped me enormously. But I know that not every so that started me off at a very young age to not fear the future and not be afraid to try new things and to talk to new people and approach different situations with that attitude. And so I know not every man has that benefit in their childhood. I know that, and that's okay. But I would say for any man that's out there now that is feeling insecure or not sure what to do with it because they didn't get that when they were younger, you got this. I mean, I not everybody has your knowledge. You have specialized knowledge of what you've been through and what you've done, and that knowledge, that specialized knowledge, can help other people. And so that should not make you afraid. That should empower you as a man to say, you know what, my story is unique and it's awesome, and it might not be all fun, but my story can help others. And
That's a
I'm that's what I would say.
that's
So
an amazing it's amazing reflection. It's extremely inspirational and very empowering. And so I'm sure that there's going to be someone out there listen to it and be able to be empowered by that. Um, so for me, Connor, Brian Borgett was also on here, and we were talking about the challenges that they had faced in like the childhood part, and you would just address that your parents showed that you were capable and able, just be smart about it. For people who have physical challenges on top of the mental part, how do you approach that as a man? Like, what's
yeah,
the conversation like for you? Like, because you've been there. That's the other part. You've been there. So
I
how do you
mean,
shape that story for people?
yeah, man. I mean, I've been the physical part too. I mean, it may not be in the same way as some other people, but yeah, there's a very physical aspect to the condition I was born with as well. I mean, 7 brain surgeries. That's not just that's physical. They're hacking around in there, and that has physical ramifications. And so again, I got to go back to my parents, when they put that instilled that mindset in me, they were not careless with it. They weren't flippant, right? They said, look, go be a kid, go do your thing. And so, yeah, I skateboarded as a kid. I broke my arm skateboarding one day as a kid, like I was out there, doing stuff, and I've been a snowboarder for 30 years. It's one of my favorite things to do on earth is go snowboarding. That would be looked at as crazy as by some people with what I've got going on. I love it. But the thing is, they also said, be smart. Don't be an idiot. Don't play football. Like, don't intentionally play a sport that you're going to be banging your head into other people, you know? And so I think it's giving you that mentality of almost borderline invincibility as a kid, but also being smart. Like, don't be an idiot. Don't, so don't play football. They kind of pointed me in the direction of music, right? Like, don't play football and soccer and all that stuff. Let's do maybe band. Let's do band, and maybe let's do choir, and both of those things. So thankful they said that, because going into seventh grade band class and playing the clarinet was the best thing I could have ever done, because I met my wife in seventh grade band class. Who
Oh,
knew?
wow.
Who knew? My wife and I met in seventh grade band class. And so we just celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary in June here. And we knew each other for a good 10 years before we got married, because we met at 12, you know? And so that was a great decision. Go be in band, And then the other thing is music. Like, I was in choir as well. And that singing has taken me around the world, literally. I traveled the world with a group singing for a year right after high school. And so these are all things that some people would say, oh man, bummer, you didn't get to play football, you didn't get to forget that, man. I got to travel the world singing. I met my wife in band class. That was the best thing that ever could have happened. So yeah.
So one of the things that you brought up is with your wife, and you're able to meet her early on. For a lot of men, they're always looking for a brotherhood. Me and Jimmy Carter, who was on episode 16, we talked about how also it can come from the sister part too. There's also that, but then also, like, you're saying you met your wife at the age of 12. How important was she for your mental health in your opinion? But also the fact that it didn't come like how most people would say it came from, like some type of brotherhood or like from an athletic team event. And like you said, it might have actually came from band. What's your take on that?
I would totally say that. Yeah, that there is a brotherhood, there is a family atmosphere in the band too. I mean, I kind of feel, I watch movies like Remember the Titans and Facing the Giants and all these movies like with football and stuff. And it's like, man, how cool would that be to be part of that sort of, that brotherhood and that group and that amazing relationship that you develop with your teammates. But some of that happens in music too. I was in band from seventh grade till my senior year of high school, and we go through those years with a lot of the same people the entire time. And so we get to know a lot of people in marching band and playing, in the stands when it's freezing cold at those football games and all that kind of stuff. Like it's got its own set of, values and its own sense of camaraderie that the band develops too, And so it's different, but it's similar. And same thing with the music. After high school, I got to travel for a year with I think you said it in my intro. There was a group called Up With People that I got to travel. Amazing experience. That year, I became so close with. There was about 150 people in this group, and from 22 different countries all around the world. And I would consider every single one of them one of my best friends to this day. It was 30 years ago that I did that, and I could call every single one of them and say, "Hey, I'm coming." And they'd be like, "Yep, house is ready for you. Come on." It's so it's just a different kind of camaraderie, but it's still there.
So. Right. Well, I think it's just on the community part, and that's probably a better word than the brotherhood. It's just, as we're doing this men's mental health, the brotherhood has been thrown around so much. And then let's talk about your wife. Like, like I said, you met her at the age of 12. You just had your anniversary like the other day. Like, how important was that for your mental health?
Having her, oh my gosh. Whew, man. I mean, when I was younger, it wasn't, like I said, up until about age 36, with the physical, the condition that I was born with, up until about age 36, it was kind of just, bounce back and carry on, but in the last 10 or 12 years, it's become has become incredibly important. I mean, the words, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and health, like some of those marriage vow, phrases, a lot of people just kind of gloss over those in their vows, but man, every single one of them are, I could tell you stories all day long about all of that and how it was actually done in our marriage with her. And it's, my mental health is so strong because I have her, and not because I depend on her for everything, but because when there are things that come up, she understands and she knows that, she loves me. I love her at a level that, is deep, man. And so when those mental health things come up, she understands and she helps me work through them, and we carry on. So it's so important to have those relationships, though. Yeah,
Absolutely. So Jeff, if because I know you mentor people too, so like for someone who is a youth that is dealing with the hydrocephalus, sorry,
hydrocephalus.
can,
You're good.
yeah, can you tell me like how you would approach their mental support?
Yeah. So, I mean, when my wife and I go speak, we speak around the world, in person, virtually and stuff. And every time I speak, I there's somebody that comes up to me and asks about stuff like that, and if I were sitting in front of somebody right now that was, that just found out that they, they're starting to have symptoms and they're going to have brain surgery again, or, that kind of thing. The main thing that I'm so thankful that I have this experience in my life is that brain surgery is not the end. And I don't care what condition you have, if it's something that requires invasive, crazy, serious surgery like this, or if it's something like, that doesn't require surgery but still has daily, effects on you, like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome or bipolar, or, I mean, there's so many things out there that affect people's lives on a daily basis that need that support. And so I would say, life, you were chosen for this by your creator, and he does not make mistakes. And so if he chose this for you, he will also walk with you through it. And so I have zero fear about anything that has happened in my past or will happen in my future, because I know God's got this. And so that's what I would probably tell him is, look, you were chosen for this. He knew that you could handle it. If you need help, I'm happy to help you. But he knew you could handle it. That's why this is here. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. So
So it brings to this question, and I know that there's some similarities. I mean, you talked about it, but the invisible conditions, and I know you have a TV show around it. Invisible conditions, how are they approached differently? And then also, what is the strain on that to the person for the mental health of that person?
Oh man, the mental health can be run through the ringer with a person with an invisible condition. I tell you what, I just talked to somebody this morning that's gonna be a guest on my show coming up soon. And one common thread through almost all invisible conditions and almost every person I've ever had on my show over the last 3 years is that when it's invisible, and there's two caveats here, with invisible conditions, when you go to the doctor and say, I'm feeling this, but it doesn't show on the outside, they look to the knowledge that they have. Doctors only have a certain amount of knowledge, and they say, look, can we assign this to a medical condition that we already know about, that's in the books, that we have the symptoms for? And can we prescribe a medication to treat the symptoms of this condition? If those two things aren't there, then they basically dismiss you. They can. I've talked to hundreds of people that they go to the doctor, they can't identify the condition, can't find a medication to prescribe, so they tell them it's all in their head, right? In so many words. Like you go home and take a nap. It's probably just, you're just imagining this, but you're not. You're not. It's real. Just because the doctors don't have an answer for it doesn't mean it's not there. And so, know that that's true. If you know your body better than anybody on the planet. You live there. You live in your body. So you know it better than anybody. So if you know there's something wrong, maybe the doctors aren't the answer. Maybe that's the alternative world. Maybe you got to go looking elsewhere, but stick with it, man. Stick to it. And if you need help, reach out to me. I've got a virtual Rolodex of resources. So, but yeah, that's what I would say.
That's a really, I mean, I think the other thing is that there's help. Like there's help and there's other people to help and support. I think the other thing is for a man, at least it was in my case, I wasn't seeing the evidence either outward. I knew what was inner and I knew that there was something wrong. But at the same time, it also made me question myself because I had all these other people who were questioning, throwing in doubt. How, and I'm, because it's not just from your experience, but it's your experience with others. I know the toll of the mental health part through that, of being told, you're just making this up. Hey, you're hypochondriac, or hey, you're a habitual liar. And yet, hey, something's wrong. And even having medical papers of, hey, it wasn't received well from others. And then even that aspect with it not being received from others was then they were even doubted even more. And then they doubted the type of person you are. Can you speak on that?
I have a perfect example of that in high school. So I had 3 brain surgeries in my childhood. One at 2 weeks old when they figured out what was going on. One at 6 months old. And then I was a little bit older. It was right after high school graduation when I was 18. And so for my junior and senior year of high school, I could feel something happening the very big, like summer before my junior year of high school. I could feel headaches coming on, and I could feel like there's a shunt back here that's kind of draining fluid from my brain for me, and it's a cord that kind of reroutes it somewhere else to reabsorb. But this shunt was starting to I was growing. Everybody grows really fast, right? In like junior high and high school, like guys just shoot up, right? Well, so they had put this shunt in and they put the cord in, accounting for the fact that I was going to grow. But I grew so fast that the muscle tissue adhered to parts of the apparatus that didn't allow it to move with me. And so I'm hoping I'm being clear on this, but so the shunt was here and my head is here. And if this is my head and this is the shunt, as I grew, it wouldn't grow with me. And so the shunt was literally pulling out of my head. And it was really painful. And it was a gradual process. And it wasn't just all of a sudden, there it is. It was very gradual. And so I kept going back to the doctors and saying, guys, I'm having some massive headaches here. Please do a CAT scan or an MRI or something and see if there's something wrong with the shunt. I know there's something wrong. Just let's look at it. And they kept dismissing me. They're like, you're just a kid. You're 16. What do you know? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course. The doctor, I'm never going to throw doctors or surgeons under the bus. I wouldn't be here without them. But during those 2 years, they kind of doubted me. They're like, nah, it's not happening. It's not happening. And they did multiple CT scans over those 2 years. And finally, at the end of my senior year, they looked at all of them together and said, oh, look at that. Look at the progression. Oh, look at that. It is happening. He was right. Of course I was right. I live in my body. You don't. I knew what was going on for 2 years. They dismissed me until it was obvious to them too. And so I get it. I've been through it, and then they did the surgery and I felt awesome afterwards. And that was the problem. And they corrected it and everything was great. And we moved on. But for those 2 years, I felt very dismissed. I felt very like, why isn't anybody listening to me? Especially because I was right, So,
right.
So anybody out there that's dealing with that, I can relate totally.
That's it's a hell of a story. It's also, it goes to how people can be dismissive. And even when you're correct, they still are dismissive because they just don't have that experience.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, in general, with people with especially conditions that are invisible, not the ones that are visible too, but especially the ones that are invisible, like stick to your guns, man. You know your body better than anybody. You live in that body. You know how it feels. They don't. Everybody's body's different. Everybody's experience is different. Man, advocate for yourself. Stick to it and do not give up. If you need help, get the help, you know. And if the medical community won't give it to you, go outside of it, man. You can fire the white coat. Seriously, you can. You don't have to listen to the doctor if he's wrong. You know, they've been known to be wrong too. So it's not about going one method or another. It's finding the help you need. So,
you know, for me, man, I look at you as one of the experts of like invisible conditions. So I love the fact that you're this host of a TV show. Yeah. And I'm definitely looking forward to coming on and sharing my perspective of it.
Yes.
But also, there's a lot of damn people that really struggle with this, and other people's judgment. Like that was one big thing for me is people's judgment. And so in when you shared that story, I really felt it, but also I felt the grace in it also by how you were like talking about how the surgeon, the nurses, and the doctors were all helpful for you too. And I feel the same way. Is like I'm very grateful, but then there's also this trust aspect too. How did you get over the trust aspect? And how did you overcome, and how, like, someone going through a similar situation is having this trust aspect, how would you coach them through it?
You know, I think the trust aspect is always going to be there because there's always new doctors, there's always new nurses, there's always the next medical person you get to go see. But I think what it boils down to is knowing that, and I've had to wrestle with this every time they put that mask over you to go under for surgery, because not everybody wakes up from surgery, man. Brain surgery is a big deal. And so the fact that I have survived 7 of them and still stayed the same person, by the way, you go poking around a brain, you never know what you're going to get, right? It could have altered my personality completely. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I have stayed the same person and come out pretty well. So when you go under for those surgeries, I think what helps me stay sane and keep my wits about me when I'm talking to these doctors and to the nurses, and when they spring stuff on me at the last minute, you know, and honestly, is my faith, man. I'm a Jesus follower. I'm a Christian. So when stuff like that comes up, it's like, look, he created me. I know that if I, you know, at the end of surgery, when they're done, you know, doing what they're doing, and they take that anesthesia away, and I start waking up, either I'm going to wake up and I'm going to see the face of Jesus, or I'm going to wake up and see my wife's beautiful smiling face. And I'm good either way. I think you just got to come to the point that you're okay with whatever happens, you know? And like, I'm not saying that you don't fight for what you know is right and fight for what you know that you need. At the end of the day, though, you know, everybody's days are numbered, and you don't know when your last day is. Only he does. So there's a freedom in that, and there's a grace in that I feel from that. And so that's the grace that I show others, you know, because I know that I don't have it all figured out, and I know that I've been extended that grace, so I extend it to others, whether it's doctors or other people that I'm talking to about what they're going through. You know, grace is huge, and that helps with the hope aspect as well. You know, keeping that hope alive.
So Jeff, we're almost at that 30-minute mark. Where can people find you, and tell them about the TV show? But definitely, if someone was needing to get a hold of you, had an invisible condition, and wanted to talk to you about it, how would they approach that?
Absolutely, man. I would say if you want to get in touch with me, and I'll make sure that Dwayne's got all this information. It'll be on the notes and everything that's attached to this episode. But I've got an email that you can email me to if you want to email me at jeff@jcpearsongroup.com. That is the best email. I have an email for the TV show that's Invisible Condition at e360tv.com, but the JC Pearson Group is the better email. So jeff@jcpearsongroup.com is an email to use. And really just, I mean, if you have questions about, what I've been through, or if you have an event that that you think it'd be fun for me to speak at, or my wife, I mean, she's done more speaking this year than I have. She's an amazing speaker to tell the story of the perspective she's been through. So, that would be a great way to reach out. And then, and then if anybody wants to talk about the show or being a guest or anything, then yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I just want to say thank you, man, for being one of these 30 men to step up and to the microphone for me, to bring awareness to men's mental health this month. And I just want to say thank you for your friendship. And I'm looking forward to recording the TV show that we've been, talking about for a while. But, any way that I can help, I want to help. And I see that aspect in yourself too, is that you're always willing to help. So I just, again, I want to say thank you, and with the utmost gratitude, and I'm praying for you every night, my friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you, Dwayne. This has been awesome, and I'm so thankful that you have this platform, and I'm just honored to be part of it, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's episode 17. Looking forward to getting to the halfway mark, or we're past the halfway, so get to the 2/3 mark. This month has been just very blessing. I've been so blessed to be able to be a part of this, but also being able to be supported by people like Jeff and all these amazing speakers. So that's episode 17. Everyone, I'll be here tomorrow for episode 18. Thank you for watching another episode of Show Up to Win presents ShowUp2Heal. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. Thank you.